out there, and welcome to the Danny.
And Riana's show. This is Danny Pena, Rihanna's husband.
And today we're going to be talking about something that's happening basically right now. We're recording on Wednesday, June 5th. And if you're in the industry, you know about video games, there's a big event coming up. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it, Danny?
Yeah, back in the days was E3, but this time is Summer Game Fest. And also Xbox is gonna have their own event and Ubisoft also, but and there's gonna be a bunch of other conferences, but the official one that's gonna be happening starting Friday, by the time you listen to this, is Summer Game Fest 2024. I believe this is their third. Is it the third event for
I
Jeff
think
Keighley?
2020 was technically the first one. So
In
this will be
person.
number
I'm talking about
4.
in
Oh,
person. I'm
okay.
talking about in person. Yeah, in person is the
Yeah.
third one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna get to see a lot of companies showing their games. Uh, First, they're gonna show it at the press conference. Show like a trailer, and then that one's open to the public. The press conference, which takes place at the YouTube Theater here in Los Angeles, and then the next couple days after that is play days where invite only creators and media will get to play all those games that was announced from different companies from like Sega, Square, PlayStation, etc. It's gonna be a lot of companies there, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. Lots of fun.
Yeah, and in addition to Summer Game Fest, which is Jeff Keighley's presentation, there's a
Hmm.
lot of other things happening around that same time. So we already had Sony's State of Play. There's also going to be there was the OTK Games Expo. Gorilla Collective is coming out today. If you're listening to this on day of release of the podcast, there's
Hmm.
IGN Live, day 1 and day 2, Future of Play Direct. Wholesome Games Direct, Future Game Show, Latin American Game Showcase, Women Led Game Showcase, PC Gaming Show, Xbox Game Showcase, which we will also be at, and Ubisoft Forward, as well as Black Voices in Gaming, Dames for Games, Stream for a Cause, the Gaming Awards, the Upload VR Showcase, and probably more stuff that I'm not even remembering. So, reading off the list, it sounds like a lot, but essentially what it is everybody getting a little piece of the pie that used to be E3. And the summer is the time when people want to spend this or put their attention on video games, get hyped about what's going to be on their playlists and their must buys and their gift lists for the upcoming holiday season. And it gives us an idea of what we should be looking out for the second half of the year, for things that are maybe unannounced and coming soon.
Hmm. Is there out of the companies that are going to be there, which ones are the ones that you're excited to check out, or very curious to see what they have planned to announce during Summer Game Fest?
Yeah, I can't give specifics because, of course, there's some things that are embargoed for this weekend, and to avoid
Hmm.
messing anything up, there's a lot of emails coming through right now.
That's a lot.
I'll just say some of my favorite studios and developers over the years. So, like, I always love to see what Devolver has going on. They're a wacky group over there, and they have really
Hmm.
fun games, and always put on a great show with their Devolver Direct. I'm always excited to see what Annapurna Interactive is up to. They're another one of my favorite publishers. And of course, we're very hyped for the Xbox Game Showcase. I know that's near and dear to my heart as somebody who used to work there, and I still know a lot of really great people over there. And I'm excited to cheer them on. So those are just a handful of the publishers that I'm excited to see. But how about you?
Well, for me, very curious to see what Sega is going to show there, and also Capcom, I believe, is going to be there too. Ubisoft, I know this is separate from Summer Game Fest. I would love to learn more of like the stuff that they're planning to announce. I know Ubisoft Forward is, I believe, taking place Monday.
Monday.
Monday. So, but the big one of the whole weekend is Xbox. Like, they've been
All
very
eyes on
quiet.
Xbox. Yeah.
Usually we get to hear teases and this and that. They haven't said a word. This has been the quietest that I've seen from Xbox in a very, very long time. So fingers crossed. I hope it's a big event for Xbox. We're going to the showcase Sunday morning, and I'm very excited to see the reaction from everybody in the theater while watching the press conference. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting. You make a good point in saying that they've been unusually quiet about the showcase specifically for this
Hmm.
year because by now we would have probably seen a tweet from Aaron Greenberg saying like, "Hey, here's what you won't see," so that people don't get their hopes up or put their expectations in an unrealistic place, right? The
Hmm.
whole goal is to have people feeling good after the show and not feeling like they were missing something or something was left out. But, Xbox has had a very interesting year with their communications and their messaging, and especially with fan reactions,
Hmm.
fan and non-fan reactions to some of their business decisions in recent months. And I wonder if that has affected their transparency and their desire to open up before big events. I'm hoping personally that there is no approach or business strategy messaging in this showcase. I just want to see games. Like, tell me about
Hmm.
games. I would love a hardware announcement in there. I've predicted that there may be a handheld announcement. I've predicted that it would be cool if something was shadow dropped, game or pack in, or,
Hmm.
maybe the handheld is coming soon. But yeah, it's hopefully going to be focused on what would be playing on Xboxes and Xbox platforms in the next coming months and years, and nothing else, because it's tough to deliver, overall business strategy messaging to the masses and have them really understand it. Like, that's not always for
Hmm.
every single consumer to be in on, every single business decision. And we've seen
Hmm.
the repercussions of that. And we also see the other two of the big three, Nintendo and Sony, don't do that. And it's, for better or worse, a strategy that has kept them out of hot water more often than not. So yeah, it'll
Hmm.
be it'll be interesting to see the tone of the Xbox showcase and all the others as well. And I'm really excited for like some indie darling to really like bubble up to the surface and get everybody's attention. Like, I'm excited for a Stray or a uh oh goodness, what was it, Viewfinder moment from last year, where there's one, or Cocoon, where there's one experience that nobody was really expecting that just sort of blows everybody away. Like, that's always my favorite part of play days specifically, is you start
Hmm.
talking to other people in content and media who are playing all the games that have been announced at Summer Game Fest and are coming up soon,
Hmm.
and get the very first impression and their raw reactions before they go record their shows or before they go write up their articles. You get to really just hear what they think about it. And that's one of my favorite things about having an in-person event, like an E3, where all of the people who know the history of the space, they know the way these publishers and developers have been moving, they know what consumers have been feeling. They get to come together and really talk about games that are coming out in the way that they've been developed. And it's such a rare occurrence these days because, as we've talked about on the show before, in-person events are still trying to figure out how well, they're still trying to find their way in
Hmm.
2024.
Yeah, I've been going to E3. I think my first one was in 2005. I think that time was May 2005. It was in June. Yeah, well, I think it was May of that year. For E3, everything was in one location. It was easy to
Mm,
just go to the meeting rooms, to the booth. Go to the booth and have like closed doors and all that stuff. Now I feel like besides Summer Game Fest, there's a lot of other companies that are having their own events at different location close to Summer Game Fest, but it's gotta get a car, gotta get an Uber, gotta walk. Like instead of having it in one location, which is a lot easier for me to cover games like that because
yeah.
it's not only me, but there's going to be a lot of other people that have their cameras, equipment, laptops, like a lot of stuff they have to carry while walking around. So that's the only thing that I'm going to be missing from E3. But I'm excited that we're having an in-person event where this is a way not only to get together but also celebrate on all the games, all the products that we're gonna get to see that's coming out in the future,
Yeah. And
and we're gonna see it for the first time in the summer, and we celebrate again at the end of the year with the Game Awards, and I think that's something that I love to see that because I was thinking about this the other day. Imagine there was no Summer Game Fest. You know,
Yeah, that'd be sad.
maybe we'll have an Xbox event, maybe a Ubisoft event, maybe also IGN in person event too. But I think it'll be very very different. You know, so I'm thankful to see events like this happening the past couple of years now. You know,
Yeah.
so.
And just to give an example of like my schedule is considered light, but this is what my Saturday looks like. We have a start at 10 a.m. for me. So I'm seeing a game at 10, that's for 2 hours. Then I have to move to another location. I see two different games there. Then I have to go back to the first place. I see another game. Then I have one half an hour break. Then I have to go to a different location. I see another game for half an hour. Then
Hmm.
another game for an hour and a half, and then another game for 2 hours, and then somewhere around 5 or 6 ish, I might be able to eat again. So it's a pretty packed day, and like you're saying, Danny, like you're moving from one location to another.
Hmm.
They're not next to each other. You do have to travel, and where this is being held right now, it's around the fashion district of Los Angeles, and when you're moving in that part of town, you want to be careful, right? You don't want to walk necessarily from one
Hmm.
location to another. So it can get really challenging, and it's a long day. And we also have, the Summer Game Fest actual presentations on Friday. There's a lot of opening night parties and things on Friday. We're going to be attending Giant Bomb and sitting on the Giant Bomb couch on Friday night. Then there's Saturday all day and all night. Then there's Sunday all day and all night. Then there's Monday all day, and you're doing the night. So it's a long stretch. And if you
Hmm.
can
Hmm.
imagine, we're trying to keep our wits about us and keeping track of everything we're seeing and giving our reactions to it. So we'll be recording throughout the weekend, but as you can see, it gets to be very busy and sometimes overwhelming. So, we'll be hydrated. We'll make sure we encourage each other to eat. And Danny and I won't be at the same appointments. Like we're completely off on our own.
Very
But
very
yeah,
completely different.
it's a fun experience. And looking at it from sort of the marketing side and less of the content creator side, I find there's so many different strategies that we see developers and publishers taking around
Mhm.
their sort of summer announcement moment. And most of them concentrate around the Summer Game Fest weekend. And if it's their own showcase or they have some games that are in the Friday Keeley presentation and then save other things for their own presentation. We see some publishers like Xbox and Ubisoft do that. There's a lot to take in and a lot of different levers for teams to pull, right? And
Mhm.
there's an example that I'll give. We saw an announcement of Like a Dragon Yakuza on Amazon Prime, a TV series announced, and that is of course from RGG Studios, and they will most likely have more information in the Summer Game Fest presentation. Now we're guessing at that has not been confirmed necessarily, but they wanted to get out ahead of all of the noise, so they dropped this teaser image of the actor they cast as the main character on the like on the cover, as if he was on the cover of the video game, but as the TV series poster. And
Mhm.
so that's one way to sort of get your messaging to float above everything else. As I said before, if your gameplay just happens to stand out amongst everything else that people are playing that weekend, you might just get natural buzz and word of mouth. But for most marketing teams, they need a plan, right? So there's people that are putting out teasers ahead of the Game Fest. There's people who are putting out emails telling us creators and media all about what we'll be playing before we even get there, and under embargo, which means we can't talk about it until a certain date and time, or we can only talk
Mhm.
about parts of it until a certain date or time. There's other people who will just surprise, we're here and you can play it today. There's some people who are surprised we're here and you can play it at Summer Game Fest, and you can also play it at home, right? Like for Hi-Fi Rush, for example, is a very recent example of a shadow drop that went to the entire public once everybody learned that it was coming. So there's so many different ways to engage with this announcement strategy that people have the opportunity to take advantage of at a Summer Game Fest and a weekend of all of these announcements.
Mhm.
But it is really tough to decide what's best for the project, and it takes a keen eye and a very discerning analytical team and a marketing department in order to find what's going to work best for the game, depending on what's good about it, what's interesting about it, and what people will really resonate with, because there's there's just so much going on, and you really do want to stand out from the crowd.
Yeah, I was looking at my calendar. Oh my god, Saturday I have no breaks.
Yeah,
I get there from
yeah, it's tough.
10:30 in the morning, and I'm done 6 p.m.
Yeah, and then it's straight to party A, then party B,
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah.
party
That parties
C.
parties doesn't count because that's something that's different.
Well,
And then
I
and
want
then
I want to give you a challenge to that
yeah,
because no parties aren't required, but that is where you meet the people who have just been showing properties. That's where you meet people
sure.
who you and I may do business with in the future. So there's biz
Mm-hmm.
dev conversations happening. Can
Mm-hmm.
talk to other content creators and, like I was saying before, hear what they're really vibing with and what game we need to make sure we go see during whatever free period we have in the following days. Like there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of business that happens during those parties, and it's important that we're in those conversations when we can be,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not technically a requirement. It's just very useful for what we do, both as business owners and content creators.
Yeah, I think I love mixers. We go to a lot. Some we talk about, some we don't because it's very private and stuff like that. But I think it's a like you said, it's a great way for us to network, get to meet other creators, people from the media, and also potential clients for our business that we've been working now for like the past couple months. I can't believe it's been 4 months already. Wow.
Mhm.
So yeah, I love mixers because it's more relaxed. There's no interviews, just off the record type vibe where you get to talk about things that's happened in the industry, stuff like that, or just vibe, just talk about life. We
Yeah.
because we know a lot of people that are also parents. Like a couple years back, I remember going to the Xbox showcase and we got to hang out with Sarah Bond, and she also brought her dad at the event, and I believe he was there too, watching the showcase. She gave him a shout out, and everybody was like clapping, and she got emotional and stuff like that. So it was cool to see that, and also getting to know more about her family. Because we only know about like when usually we see like people like Reggie, Sarah, Phil, etc. You only know them as the business people, right? But when you get to know them more about them, like where they grew up and all that stuff, it's
Talk about our
very
kids.
kind of about kids. Yeah, I think it's important to learn about that because look, we're all humans. We're all doing our job, but it's good to learn about the history growing up, how they got into the industry and all that stuff. Like having like I had conversations like about that with Reggie. We also talked about food, and it's like it's good to get to experience that in person at like mixers and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen with with this year's mixer from various companies. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
think it'll also be interesting to see if there are any, I will say, like, entertainment execs sniffing around for IP because we have
Hmm.
seen an explosion of video game IP coming to both the big and small screens
Hmm.
recently, and there's a lot more to be leveraged there, right? There's so many amazing stories, so many wonderful worlds, such amazing lore in the world of video games, and we know this as people who are fans of the industry and people who work in the industry, but there's a lot that's still left on the table, like Sonic and Mario and Halo and Fallout. They're not the only ones, and there's a few that have been announced already, but there's definitely more coming. So I'm curious to see like what we'll start getting whispers of as we're at these mixers and hearing people say like, "Oh yeah, I heard so and so was talking to Universal or whatever."
Hmm.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, one thing I've been doing, especially for this year, is I've been trying my best to stay away from leaks because usually uh past events like E3, sometimes I'm like in line getting ready to go to the theater or whatever to see a press conference. And while I'm there, like stuff gets leaked out. One thing that I love is going to a press conference, not knowing anything that's happening, and we just experience that moment of like, wow, they announced what this is coming, maybe a special guest pops up, it's really, really cool to experience that. Not Wow, you don't know anything that's happening, you know. So like a couple years back, I remember I was there when Keanu Reeves was on stage that they announced he was going to be part of Cyberpunk 2077. People freaked out. That was like a crazy moment. Or I remember when Xbox announced Final Fantasy, I can't remember which one it was, that it was coming to Xbox for the first time. You know, the crowd went nuts. Even before that, Grand Theft Auto announcement at the Xbox press conference back in 2006. Like, you know, we were there inside where we had no idea this was going to happen. You know, like the thing that I hate is seeing all the leaks on social media. It kills the vibe. It kills that surprise that people have been working on behind the scenes for a very, very long time. And someone just leaked it and ruined basically everything, the surprise, you know. So I hope we don't get to see a lot of that the next couple of days. I hope people will stay quiet until the announcements pops up over the
Yeah,
weekend.
if you have leaks, keep them to yourself. Just, hit publish as soon as the show is over,
Yes,
please.
please, 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 no more leaks.
Yeah. Also,
Mhm.
Danny, stop checking Twitter right before you walk into an event. That's not a good
Oh
idea.
no, no, no. Here's the thing: when I go to the event, especially the one I'm starting on Friday, I'm just gonna post, not search on my timeline on
Yeah.
things that's happening. You know, so because even people replying will leak stuff to you. You know, so like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Just
I'm
turn the
just gonna be
phone
posting.
off
I'm just
for
gonna be
it's
posting,
just an
pictures from the
hour.
event, and that's it. And
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool to talk about this event because as we've talked about on the show before, we have a young daughter, and doing things like this is really crucial for us both as content creators and as new business owners, because this is where pretty much everybody we would want to work with and collaborate with will be, um,
Mhm.
all at one place at one time. And it's either this or the game awards where we can really have these conversations, and waiting until December is really not very good for the health of our business long term.
Mhm.
So it's tough, and I want to take a second and talk about how we approach Summer Game Fest and events in general as parents, because it's really tough. It's really challenging. We, of course, work for ourselves, so any childcare arrangements that we're going to make have to come out of our pockets, and we then have to go find that money and work hard in order
Mhm.
to make sure we can afford it long term. And we've been so blessed to have the support of our families, in particular my mom, who is coming to stay at our house for an entire 4 days and hang out with our 7-month-old daughter all day and all night and put her to bed, and we'll see her in the mornings before we head out to do our jobs. So it's not a small feat at all. And it's definitely a blessing and a privilege that we have this kind of support, but it's not something that everybody can manage. And
Mhm.
being at an event in person for childcare reasons, for parental care reasons, for all kinds of reasons can be tough. And there are a lot of creators out there who would love to come to a summer game fest and who are super qualified and would have really amazing coverage after the fact, but they can't make it happen.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
I agree.
tough.
Mhm. Yeah, it is. It is tough. Like, Summer Game Fest a little bit easier. It's only a couple hours, at night in the evening and stuff. But Summer Game Fest, it's a lot because previously, when they started doing this event in person, it was only 2 days. Right? You
Yes.
go the day before, you go to the press conference, which is 2 hours maybe, and then the next 2 days will be hands on. That's it. Now it's getting a little bit longer because now
Mhm.
either there's more companies having their events during Summer Game Fest, but they also have appointments after Summer Game Fest ends. So the event starts on Friday, and then there's still stuff happening on Tuesday, which Summer Game Fest finished on Monday. So it's getting a little bit complicated and a little bit harder. So because I know previously for E3, I remember going there on a Saturday or on a Friday, and this E3 starts on a Tuesday. And the reason why I'll get there early because there was so many events happening hands on before E3, that we were under embargo. We can't say anything, nothing until the company tells, okay, now you're allowed to talk about it. So
Yeah, like the behind closed doors would be happening on Monday or
mhm.
even on Sunday.
Yeah, yeah, it's getting wild, man. But I'm excited because I already, I have a lot of appointments, but a lot of them it's more like interviews also too. So I'm very excited to talk to developers that have been working on these projects for a very long time. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And the other thing that I really love about this moment in in-person events in general, like you mentioned, the Game Awards is only a couple of hours in one evening, but this
Hmm.
longer stretch we have for Summer Game Fest is we get to see so many people we love working with, and we consume their content. Like we watched game rinks all the time.
All the time, love
Like
that.
like like
Love that show.
obviously you and I have our own channels with Gamer Tag Radio and What's Good Games, but like we watch Giant Bomb, like we watch GameSpot, like we these
Hmm.
are our friends, but they're also people that we consume their content as fans. And it's so cool and such a blessing to be able to all come together and hang out and tell them we love that last video, or tell them, oh, I really like the way you've been editing lately, and trading like industry secrets, and figuring out how we can help each other make our content better. It's just such a great collaborative moment, and a longer event allows you more time to actually sit down, have a meal, and talk, and not just a hi and bye, or a quick, oh, I like that outfit, oh, let's take a picture, okay, see you next year. Like this is really truly a moment for us to meet each other and
Hmm.
and really create that community, because right now it's a very tough time for the industry in general, and also content creators, and definitely for media, a lot of whom are either recently acquired and a little bit unsure of what their future looks like, or straight up they've been made redundant or laid off.
Hmm.
And there's going to be a lot of commiseration this year, and hopefully a lot of uplifting and support of one another. I'm looking forward to hearing about people's new projects. I want to be able to like champion them and support them, and give them advice or amplify anything that they've been announcing for their content or their new outlets, because there's a lot of really talented people who will be there and who will be thinking we thought of if they're not there. And I hope we can all come together this year and focus on how we move forward, because there's been a lot of setbacks.
I was thinking about today, Ree. I was like, because I was driving around through some stuff, and I was thinking, wow, just last year, Rihanna was pregnant at
Yeah,
Summer Game Fest,
I was.
and now we have a 7-month-old baby,
Yeah.
and we're going to Summer Game Fest. The difference, and I remember the conversation that people were having last year. Wow, you're pregnant. How was it covering a game pregnant? That was like a big conversation. Even when we were at Giant Bomb, their stream that happens every year during summer events and stuff like that. That was the conversation too. People were asking you like, "How was it?" How for those that are watching and don't know, because we haven't really talked about this before we end the show. But how was it covering games at an event like Summer Game Fest while being pregnant?
I'm honestly happy to say it was not as hard as I thought it would be. And I'm hardly the first person to go to a convention or conference or hands-on experience pregnant,
Hmm.
but I was originally worried. There would be too much walking, or I wouldn't have any place to sit down, or I wouldn't be able to get enough water, which is very important as a pregnant person,
Hmm.
or that I wouldn't be able to go pee as often as I needed to. And none of that became an issue. I was very, very pleased with how much food was available. Like there's bags of chips just like in bowls everywhere. So you're constantly presented with opportunities to keep yourself fed and hydrated. Plenty of bathrooms. I never had to wait for a bathroom. The walking did get a little bit annoying, but that's just because you're in a place where there's a lot of stuff and you got to give space to each thing. So that can't be helped. But all of the facilities that we went into were accessible. So if I did need a walker or a wheelchair, I could have used one. I had a lot of people to help hold my hand, because I'm surrounded by wonderful, loving folks everywhere I go. And I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. It honestly could have been much worse. And I was prepared for worse. I will say the highlight for me that I will always remember is we were going into the Ubisoft space, which was actually off campus from Summer Game Fest's hub, so another Uber, and we had to go drive somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But they had this really big building and huge spaces. It was like a warehouse size space, and they kind of carved it up into different booths for different games that they were showing off in their hands-on previews. And there was this big space. Think about like the first floor of, you know, a medium-sized house. It's like this big. And they have all of their demo booths for the Prince of Persia game that came out earlier this year, last year, earlier this year
Early this year.
in February, I want to
Mm-hmm.
say.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic game. Super, super fun. Everybody should try it out. And they had a presentation before we started playing the game where everybody was standing looking at a big screen, and there was a person standing next to the screen explaining what we're seeing. And I very meekly was like, raised my hand. I was like, "Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Can we just pause? I need to sit down." And somebody brought over an armchair from some other room and just put it right in the middle of this presentation area and said, "Oh, here you go, pregnant woman. You can sit in this
And it was
big comfy
obvious.
armchair." And
It
it
was
was
very
so
obvious.
awkward.
Yeah, it was obvious that you were pregnant. So
It was very obvious that I'm pregnant. And
yeah,
and again, I'm surrounded by incredibly supportive and patient people. So they're like, "Oh, we'll pause. Hold on. Let's get her a chair." So they brought over this. So I'm just sitting in this giant armchair in the middle of a Ubisoft game
that's funny.
presentation. It was very funny. I took a picture. It was hilarious. But
That's cool.
yeah, people were very supportive, very accommodating. I I can't imagine a better experience, honestly, unless they had given me a scooter. Like that's the only
Mm-hmm.
thing that would have made it even easier. So
Yeah.
I can't complain, and I won't. And I
Yeah.
know it will be just as great this year, and I'm really looking forward to it as a now breastfeeding person, which is a whole new set of challenges, as many parents out there or caretakers out there know. It's
Mm-hmm.
a whole nother set of challenges. So I will be looking forward to tackling them and reporting back on my experience.
Yeah, no, I want to say this before we wrap it up. For those that are watching this, I'm planning to be posting a lot of content during Summer Game Fest because I usually record a lot of content, a lot of podcasts, and release it the same day. Stuff that I'm allowed to post that day.
Right.
But also, I'm planning to record some stuff with Ree too, right, Ree? Hopefully, fingers
Yeah.
crossed. During at night, once we get home and we're more relaxed, something short of stuff like we experience that we're allowed to talk about, and it will be on Gamer Tag Radio. So can't wait.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's
Oh
gonna be a
yeah.
lot of fun.
Lots of content coming from Gamertag, lots of coming from What's Good Games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm toying with the idea of maybe doing some more content on my own channels, but stay tuned for more on that. We're still figuring out my new work-life balance now that I'm working for myself. So
Yeah.
we'll decide that
Don't do
soon.
too much because you don't want to
I tend
get
to do
tired.
too much. I
Yeah.
know this about myself.
Yeah. Just do what you can. That's what I tell people,
Yeah.
man.
I
So
just love hanging out and talking about stuff that makes me excited, you know?
yeah, so good, so good. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up. Anything else, Ree, before we finish?
Not really. I would say if anybody's like looking for how to watch all of these presentations that are public, IGN has a really great list. Just head over to that website, check out the good people over there who have done that work to put it all together and give you
Mm-hmm.
links and dates and times. Pay attention to some of the smaller shows, right? Of course, we're going to watch Xbox. Of course, we're going to watch Ubisoft. But the Black and Gaming one is cool. The Latinx and Gaming show is pretty cool. There's a lot of other ones out there with just is great content as the bigger shows, and they deserve your love and support as well. So I would say everybody who usually watches your E3 presentations, your Summer Game Fest presentations, pick one show that you've never watched before and give it a try. It's what, an hour of your time?
Yeah,
Just put it on in the background while you're cooking or something.
yeah. If you follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, or YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, look up the Danny Pena. Just put Danny Pena, it will pop up. I'm planning to post something there, some stuff from Summer Game Fest. So be on the lookout for that. And yeah, everyone, thank you for watching the Danny and Rihanna show. We'll be back next week with
Well, can I
more
plug my
conversation.
socials too?
Of course, you can say that. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I mean,
Go
I'll be
ahead.
tweeting my reactions to everything that I can. Rihanna tweets now. And yes, it's Rihanna tweets now. I'm not going to change it to Rihanna X's now or anything like that. Doesn't make any
Access now.
sense. So
Access
that's
now.
RIANA tweets now.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe there'll be some quick reaction videos going up there. You never know.
Yeah, awesome. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. We'll be back next week with more content from us, Danny and Rihanna. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.